All right. All
Are we
right, here
back?
we are. We are
We're back
back.
to another
Sound
live
video.
edition
Yeah.
of Live Feed Read. My co-host Jason Crawford, of course, me, Paul Reed, here on Friday, 1 o'clock.
Yep. We got the mountain
Um,
man thing going on.
Welcome. It's yeah, you're looking a little rough. It's a beautiful day
Rough.
outside. Mom is recovering from her low back surgery. Now a
Oh,
week and 1 day. So everybody keep throwing them prayers out there. It's
for
of
sure,
course
for
it's a
sure.
slow process. You know, Mom, she's only 39 years old, so it's going to take a while to recover when you get that age. There you go, Mom.
Oh
All
my.
right,
You're
so
gonna be in so much trouble when
let's
she
jump
comes
into
off of her
this.
meds and she
Oh, I
watches
hear you.
this.
So here's the deal. A lot of people don't really realize, I think, kind of what the 10 big legal issues are in Florida and what's going on and what your elected officials are trying to do or what they're trying not to do and what the courts are trying to deal with and rule on. So let's go through them quickly. When you're watching the news, I'd say reading the paper anymore, but you know the paper only comes on Wednesdays and Sundays if you get the Times. Which Jason, I thought I would actually miss the actual newspaper,
Yeah.
but I don't. I when Mom
Good.
comes to town on Sundays, I'll run down to the store and get it.
Yeah.
It's just a heap of mess sitting there. About ninety
Yeah.
percent of it is
Well, and they
advertising
still cram it down your throat
and
at
other
every
things you
digital
don't even
platform.
use. Then your hands have all the ink on them. So I've kind
Yeah.
of gotten used to reading the paper, so to speak, on the
Online.
computer. I never
Mm-hmm.
thought I would, but hey,
Oh, you
you
mean
know
you
what?
actually thought you might miss the paper, like
No,
the.
absolutely.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought I would hate it, but I actually don't. All right. So
Yeah.
number one, dealing with elections. All right. So of course, with
Okay.
high profile elections looming in November 2022, unless you've been living up in a rock, Chief U.S. District Judge, which is the federal court judge, Mark Walker, is slated to hear or start a trial basically as we speak. So,
Oh,
challenging the voting rights groups' controversial new elections laws. Among other things, the law made it harder for Floridians to cast ballots by mail and added restrictions to drop boxes and so forth and so on. Whether you agree or disagree, of course, there is a lawsuit uh, churning through the court system to determine what states can and cannot do as it relates to voting.
okay.
This isn't just Florida. You got
Okay.
Georgia and many other states enacting laws, which their position is they're enacting them to make voting more fair, accountability.
Right.
I.e., you've got to prove who you are, types of things, and so without getting into all that, that's what's working through the system. At some
Okay.
level, you have to have, some voting laws, and they'll hash out which ones the states, be it Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio, you name it, will be able to utilize when it comes to voting.
Yeah.
I think, and we can all agree, you know, voting's a fundamental right, but I don't have any problem basically proving who you are to vote. Driver's license
Right.
or otherwise. I remember back before I started, and I haven't been. I do the mail-in ballots, so I'm okay with mail-in ballots. And if they want me to stick
Sure.
my driver's license, in there with my signature, I mean, how hard is it to make a copy of that? But
Hmm.
either way, when I used to go to the church down here, I remember and vote, you had to take your voting card and a
Yeah.
driver's license, and you'd hand it to them. They'd look at them, you go vote.
Right.
Why that is a big problem, I do not know. But either way, all right, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Number two, gun purchases. Now this has been a battle since evidently time began.
Hmm.
With the National Rifle Association, they're actually asking the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeal, which is in Atlanta, to reject a 2018 Florida law that prohibits people under the age of 21 from buying guns. All right, just that
Huh.
simple. The law was enacted, of course, after the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. So,
Okay.
bottom line, Florida enacted the law that says you have to be 21 to buy a gun. and the National Rifle Association.
This is your appointment reminder.
Oh, okay, and
There you
others,
go.
don't like it.
Not to jump down a rabbit hole, but like law-abiding citizens follow the laws. Making laws that make people who can't buy guns, the people who are going to break them are going to get their hands on them. Like that just sounds weird to me. I mean, I'm a protect people because it's difficult to protect ourselves sometimes, right? You froze. I froze.
You froze.
I
People
froze.
have to be 21 to buy alcohol.
Got you.
Right?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
Why?
I honestly don't know.
You don't take a guess.
No. Well, because I mean, there's other countries where young kids can drink.
An 18-year-old on alcohol is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, a 21-year-old or a 25-year-old, but you have. Yes, it's an arbitrary number,
Right.
but what you have to pick a number that you think is suitable for the public in general. 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds are going to disagree.
Sure.
But I can tell you right now, I have Leanne, who will be 22 in April, and her drinking at 18
would have scared you.
Not that she did.
Yeah.
But her drinking at 18 is way different than her at almost 22.
Well, yeah. I can understand that completely. I just find it. I find it odd that we get so emphatic about creating laws around gun control, and the people who are going to do the illegal activities with them don't care about.
Yeah, I'm not getting into all that crap.
So,
we all know that guns don't kill people, people kill people,
right.
blah 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 blah. But bottom line is, I don't know, if that's a bad law, so to speak, 18,
Sure.
19, 20, 21.
But people should know that it's being voted on,
my
right?
guess is there's probably not a whole lot of 18-year-olds running out to buy guns. There really isn't. I guarantee if you go to Bass Pro Shop, the majority of people buying guns are probably not 18-year-olds.
Right.
Yeah, but it's
would
up
that
there. Just watch it. We're gonna move on.
Yeah. Would that impact like the competitive shooting and stuff like that, or is that different?
I can buy a gun for my child.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
To buy guns. It doesn't say to own a gun or to have a gun. It says to buy a gun.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. Got you.
And again, if you're paying attention, I forget, but the one kid that recently shot up the school, they're holding the parents responsible because they're the ones who bought the gun and then allowed him to have it. So as a parent, if you buy your child a gun, just beware. You may be accountable criminally if he does something or she does something with that gun that they weren't supposed to do.
To a degree, I think that's
accountability on the parents.
Sure,
your 18-year-old can have a gun, but you better be careful and make sure he does what he's supposed to do, which really is hunting.
It's like co-signing for a car or something. Exactly.
All right, so local gun restrictions. What is this one? Nope. We did that one. The Florida Supreme Court has agreed to take up a case challenging local 2011 state law that threatens tough penalties if city and county officials approve gun-related regulations. Basically, what the state is saying this: as the state, we're the ones who should regulate gun laws.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Gun laws should not be regulated by 67 different counties and 6,700 different municipalities, so to speak, which is true. I mean, you want to be in Plant City that says you can have a gun, and you drive over to Tampa that says
Bartow,
and you drive through Temple Terrace that says one thing. That's a little bit much. I don't have.
Yeah, because then you get pulled over for a blinker or something.
The gun regulations, being important as it is, should be left to the state. If you don't like what the state's doing, vote for somebody else.
Right.
All right, so let's move on that one. I mean, you can't have just every single governmental entity regulating something as important as guns. In my opinion, just that simple.
You need a unanimous, not unanimous, but you need a unified voice. on it. Yeah.
Right, which is the state, and that's
as
their
much as
job. All
possible.
right, so
Right, exactly.
Marcy's Law. Do you know what Marcy's Law is? Marseys.
Marseys? No.
It's Marcy. It doesn't matter how you spell it,
Yeah.
but it's Marcy's Law. Do you know what that is?
No.
All right. Well,
I never heard of it.
It is a law that protects the publication of crime victims' names. So if
Crime
you're the
victims'
victim
names.
of whatever,
Okay.
they can't say Jason was assaulted Jason Crawford was assaulted or whatever.
They can't name me.
At the Brandon Mall by so and so, and he was killed, and he was this, and he was that. And so
Okay.
it's a victim's rights kind of a law to shield you from being your name being publicized
in the news and stuff like that.
And I'm okay with that. You get attacked or you name it, the victim of something.
Just want to be left alone.
Yeah, and publishing my name doesn't do it. Well, okay. Well, now evidently, the Supreme Court will be deciding whether it shields the identity of police officers involved in shootings, meaning Officer, Barney Fife or Matt, whoever.
John McClane.
Yeah. Whoever. What's his Clint Eastwood? What's his name? Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry.
If you shoot somebody, the police officer's position, the unions is you can't print my name as to who shot him. I mean, you can kind of see that side of the story. There's a lot of issues and concerns about if I shoot somebody, black, white,
sure,
or other.
Is that
my family?
Is that if the police officer is the victim?
May be threatened, but that's up there as well. And this one's made it to the Florida Supreme Court.
So is that whether or not the police officer is a victim or just in general? Nope. Okay, just police officer.
I'm a police officer. As the police officer, I don't want the paper to say Paul Reed shot Jason Crawford and killed him.
Yeah, Jessica Rabbit shoots. Right, exactly.
Okay. Well, the question is, can the paper print that? That's the Supreme Court will decide. So
that's interesting.
Will the officers be basically covered under Marcy's Law? Now,
interesting.
The question is, are they victims? Because Marcy's Law, remember, is victims can be protected, and is the cop or the officer who shoots someone a victim? Obviously, that's the issue, and so we'll find out.
That's really interesting.
We'll rule, and I'll keep an eye on the books.
Because that could have an impact on a lot of the inflammatory news that circulates. If you think about it.
It's with the Florida Supreme Court, because it certainly is an issue.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one, the protest crackdown.
That's fascinating. Can I pause on that for a second? Because I find that really fascinating. That it's one of those things. Just like where you can't tell them, oh, you can't print this, but if you make someone's name like unrevealable, then suddenly the story kind of dissipates.
Meaning unrevealable. You can say so and so was shot by a police officer. That's right now. That's okay. And if you want to say so and so was shot by Officer Jason Crawford.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's very nebulous. It's very nebulous. So I think that it just loses.
What does that mean? Very nebulous.
It's vague. So like if you don't have the person's name, it doesn't concretize the story. So it makes it, I don't know, carry less weight.
I would bet no matter what the officer's name is, 99.9% of the people reading that story don't know the officer, never met him, and could care less what his name is.
Yeah, but then they become somebody because of those stories, and the stories carry weight because people start following them. I think that if you just read police officer shoots person.
Well, it's something if I tell a story where Officer Jason Crawford shoots somebody in Jacksonville, Florida, you read about it. I guarantee you 6 months later, I say, Jason, who was the person that shot somebody in Jacksonville, Florida? You're not going to know, and you're not going to care.
Yeah, but I mean, big picture, thinking about it, I think that less stories would get printed if they weren't able to be as specific. No. You don't think so?
If there's an officer involved shooting, it gets printed.
They're just going to say, okay, man, you might be right.
Well,
I don't know.
I read the paper.
I feel like it would have an impact, whether subtle or not. I think it would, but I don't know. That's interesting.
Well, I'll let you know if the Supreme Court
I'm very curious about that.
Or disagrees with you.
Yeah, I'm very curious about it.
So on this one, you and I differ.
Okay.
You say print name, I say don't print name. So that's
No, I
good.
say I don't. I'm not saying print name. No, no, no. I'm just guessing if whether printing the name or not would have an impact on whether the story gets printed. Period.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. But either way. All right. Well, we'll
Okay.
put you down for a print name anyway.
Oh, all right, fine.
Okay.
Just
Let's
so we can
see.
bump heads over it. That's fine.
Exactly. Protest crackdown.
Yeah.
I don't know if individuals are aware that the legislature, at the request of Governor DeSantis, enacted a law that basically enhances penalties and creates new crimes for protests that turn violent. Now, whether
Okay.
it was required or not, it's out there.
Okay.
And so someone, a civil rights group of some sort, has petitioned the federal court, which has made it to the Court of Appeals, after a federal district judge issued an injunction against the law, and they'll decide. And that one may or may not eventually make it to the United States Supreme Court if other states start enacting similar laws and different district courts of appeals or otherwise rule differently. But either
Okay.
way, right now, Florida has enhanced penalties for demonstrations that become violent. And I guess people are challenging that it's vague, unnecessary, or otherwise. But that one's up there as well.
Huh.
Let's see.
Well, if you're joining us now,
Media.
because we just kind of bumped up in viewers, so if you're joining us now, what we're doing is we're kind of reviewing some of the, I don't know, the big issues or the big things that
So
are going
the
on as we
10,
move
10
into.
big legal issues in Florida to watch for 2022.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to social media. This one's interesting because that special individual up in New Jersey and North Carolina going by AOC, whatever her name is, she came out, interestingly enough, against Facebook and said they need to be broken up because they're in a monopoly. And so here's what we have. I'll read it. The state
really
of Florida wants the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeal to overturn another injunction against a law targeting social media giants such as Facebook and Twitter. The law, in part, seeks to prevent platforms from banning political candidates from their sites and requires the companies to publish and consistently apply standards. The online industry has challenged that under First Amendment.
How do you disagree
I'm all for
with
it. I believe that the social media giants, and there's only a few left anymore, to be honest. If we allow
the same
them
ones,
to only allow one side of the story to be spoken, whichever side it is, that's no bueno.
So I think the issue that I remember, so I remember listening to the congressional hearings where they were interviewing them, and I think one of the big issues that they came down to was that the spaces are privately owned spaces, kind of like how Walmart privately owns its properties under which it conducts its business, and they're not public forums, so they're not necessarily protected by freedom of speech, which protects public forums and public places. So I think that what you would have to do is convert all. I can't remember what the statute. There's a statute that addresses social media, and I can't remember which one it is, but you'd have to kind of get social media turned into a public domain for that to work. Well, from what I understood,
unless they apply antitrust law, unless they apply antitrust laws to social media, because remember, that having been said, there's huge dollars in advertising. Associated with social media. So it's a brave new world, so to speak, because it's just there's advertising involved, and there's certainly they're
it's like a billboard. Is a billboard freedom is protected under freedom of speech?
Subject to the antitrust laws, but either way, it doesn't matter. Hey, look, it's the government. They can.
I mean, I'm definitely curious to how it all
every time something comes up in Major League Baseball, there's some there's always we may take a look at baseball's antitrust exemption, blah blah blah. So
interesting.
The government can regulate a lot of your activities through the Commerce Clause and
Okay.
antitrust clauses and things of that nature.
So not
So,
directly, but indirectly.
oh yeah,
Mm,
exactly. All right,
okay.
this is one that's near or dear to my
Oof.
heart is
Okay.
sports betting.
It's
As you
what?
recall,
Sports
we
medicine?
talked betting, betting,
Betting. Oh,
betting.
betting. Okay.
And we talked about this a few weeks ago where in 2018, uh, Disney and the Seminole Tribe pushed hard to get a constitutional amendment passed that says only the people of Florida through the, the voting process can amend, add, change, or otherwise the gambling rules for Florida. Now
Okay.
here, only 2 years later, they just ignored it and did all of these changes to allowing sports betting, allowing different table games, and so forth. And a district court judge here in Florida said the deal violated the federal Indian gaming laws. And so now it's at the Washington, D.C. Federal Court of Appeals to
Okay.
decide who's right. Personally,
Interesting.
I believe that if you wanted this constitutional amendment passed, and then what? So you could just then disregard it and do whatever the heck you want? Answer's no. I've made my position clear. I think that competition is good for Florida when it comes to gambling. I think it should be opened up
Mm.
to other corporations and things of that nature. But again, no one cares what Paul Reed or Jason Crawford think. This is up to the
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. Federal Court of
Right.
Appeals.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but for now, I think it's on hold.
Okay.
This one, this is a hot topic.
Uh-oh.
The transgender student topic.
Okay.
And there's kind of two of them that are going on right now. One of them is this one, which is a transgender male student, meaning born a female, identifies as a male, wants to be able to use the boys' bathroom. And in St. John County, they
Ugh.
said no.
Why would you want to use the boys? Oh, have you
Well,
seen a guy's bathroom?
well, I agree with you there. The women's
Like what in
bathroom
the
is much
world?
cleaner, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is whether or not the transgender male should be able to use the male bathroom or have to go into the female bathroom. And the arguments, you can make
Sure.
all the arguments you want. One
No.
of the ones is simply that the males, the boys, so to speak, in high school and elementary school, may feel uncomfortable going to the bathroom because kids know you're a female, you're transgender, they know,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable going in there. Some won't, some would. To me, I just think have the unisex bathroom like they have all over the place. You've seen them at
Sure. Yeah.
at the stadium, and those are actually the cleanest as well, by the way.
They
If you go
are.
to Tampa Stadium,
They're really clean.
find
Yeah.
the family or unisex
Yeah. Find the
bathroom.
family ones.
I
Yeah.
think it's cleaner than the one in my house.
That's right, man. They really are. They really are.
That seems like
That
the
that's
solution.
it's
But
weird how we
remember,
fight over certain things.
the issue is always bigger than which
Right.
bathroom can you use?
Right.
Now,
Yeah. It's weird how we
interestingly
fight.
enough, that same issue
Yeah.
is when it comes to transgender. Well, no, males becoming females, and the big one there. I say becoming females. I know I'm not politically correct, but identifying as females or actually becoming females, because the big one is up with the Penn, University of Pennsylvania. I think the swimmer up there is just breaking every college record really that was
It's
ever
not
made.
just that. There's a bunch of
Well, I'm just saying. And
Rugby,
so I mean,
MMA,
I did a statistic, and as a
running.
male, she swam for 3 years as a male, and she was number 486 in the country. And as a
Right.
female, she's number
She's
one.
breaking records. Yeah.
Number one. So,
Right.
this is not my issue.
Sure.
My guess there. Oh, by the way, there are, Florida included, states that have enacted laws that say you can't do it. If you're born a male, you're on the male team. If you're born a female, you're on the female team. That's it, and that's that. Other states
Yeah.
have those laws, I saw one of them just got signed into by the governor, but that one also more likely than not will make its way through the court system. But a lot, so that's that. I'm not,
So, Paul,
nope,
you
we're
know
moving
more
on.
about.
I'm not talking about, we're not
Okay.
giving our point of view.
No, 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 no,
Uh,
no. But I
Go
have a
ahead. What are you
question.
going to say?
Yeah, you know more about law, and I was just curious why we choose to fight out certain things. Like, when it comes to handicap accessibility, we're like, hey, we want to protect them. Let's. You're required to make ramps now. Like, and then legally we make laws
I'll
like
tell you
that.
why. And here's, of course,
Why
what
do we fight
happens
over like which bathroom
a
you
few
can go
years
into
ago,
rather
or
than
I say
being
a
like,
few
hey, you
months
have to
ago, I
accommodate?
think, was in the mail where a transgender male or female, I forget which one, raped somebody in the bathroom. I don't know if you heard
Right.
about that. It's over, I
Yeah.
think, was it, I don't know if this was the one in Loudoun County, but either way, there's that. So there's the concern that, a male could go into a female bathroom
Sure.
and sexually assault one of the little girls, or vice versa. I mean, so there's that. There's the issue is, would, if you're in a school, would the boys feel, and remember, and I don't know if you remember back when you were young, but
Yeah.
showing the tallywhacker and all that, you didn't even want to do it in front of
Yeah.
your male counterparts,
No, no, you're like
and
you stand really close and you,
exactly.
yeah,
Well, some of us
no,
stood farther away than others, Jason, but
no,
that's
I
neither
mean like you
here.
stand close to the urinal and you're like you shoulder at
But
you
so then
shoulder,
imagine
you know,
if you knew
you're
that the
covered.
transgender male was in there,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So that's some
Yeah.
of the reasons why, but whatever. Again, luckily, I
Again,
don't.
like I don't understand legally why instead of treating it like hey, handicap accessibility has to be a thing, like you must have ramps like in order to be compliant. Why legally and we're arguing over which bathrooms they can go in instead of taking the legal route of going like, hey, you're required to have a third option. Like
Well,
I don't.
the argument that it violates your civil rights. I mean, legally,
Hmm,
that's what in a broad sense, that's
okay.
the argument. Um,
Okay.
it's no different. In all fairness, it's no different than back in the day, America, and probably still does. But was anti-gay, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so you couldn't get married, and so you
Right.
had
Right.
to challenge it in court. So it has to do
Yeah.
with certain rights that individuals have, and that's what the issue is that, do I have the right as a transgender male or female to utilize the facilities that I identify with? I mean, that's the issue, man.
Okay. Okay. I got now.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah. Now,
yeah,
as you say it like that, I
yeah.
kind of.
So
It's like
the
here's the hill
question
I'll
is,
die on. This is the one. So I get it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then this one was stupid, but I think it resolved. Remember, the USF professors, they were going to testify against the state of Florida in an engineering type lawsuit, in the
Yeah. Because I
University
follow
of
engineering
Florida.
lawsuits.
University of Florida, I guarantee you, they caught hell from somebody at the state level and said, "Hey, you're public
Interesting.
employees. We may cut your funding and so forth." And it was a big stink.
Oh.
Well, of course, that went away real quick when basically everybody turned against the University of Florida and said, "No,
Wow.
that's these professors have the right to testify either for or against the state of Florida, and that's not something the university should be regulating." And even though that
Oof.
resolved
I
it,
didn't know anything about that. That's funny.
itself,
Yeah.
it's still a First Amendment issue, and it's making its way up through the court system
Sure.
now. If I was the judge, because it's no longer an issue, they can dismiss it on mootness. Mootness means it's no longer an issue.
It's no longer an issue, right?
Yeah,
It's been resolved.
you and I
Okay.
have
Yeah.
an issue or something, but it's been resolved. It's moot. Doesn't matter anymore. Goodbye. He
I
could do
got you.
that. I don't know if he will or won't. All right.
Got
And then,
you.
of course,
Yeah.
the other one we've talked about, and it's still a big hot issue, is ongoing of the vaccine mandates.
Yeah, that
Uh,
one's gonna stay, I think, ongoing for a little bit.
Yeah, and this one is attached. Attorney General of Florida Ashley Moody has gone to the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals after a district judge refused to block a Biden administration rule requiring healthcare workers to be vaccinated against COVID. I believe the U.S. Supreme Court has now heard that issue, and we know that the 100 or more employees, that got kicked to the curb, but the
Okay.
healthcare workers can be required to be vaccinated. So
Yeah,
that
that's
one,
interesting.
that one more or less resolved itself. There are still other ones going out there
So it's
about
important to follow these
not help
because
about federal workers versus people with federal contracts. So let's just say Jason Crawford has some kind of road paving corporate company,
okay.
and you're trying to get, of course, federal contracts to pave Interstate 75,
Right, okay.
and you have 1,000 employees.
Okay.
And the government says in order to get a federal contract, you have to have your employees vaccinated. That's one that's still working its way through the system.
Yeah, that
Healthcare
one's a little bit
workers,
more.
yes. What about non-healthcare workers such as Jason, who has a Florida corporation that paves roads for a living,
Right.
and now the federal government says if you want one of our contracts, you have to be vaccinated. So
So
that's
that's
kind
still
of going
being,
up through the
got
system.
you. So
Don't
keep
know
an eye
how
out
they
for that.
rule. I don't know why the Supreme Court would rule differently than they would the 100 or more employees, just because it's federal. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah. But
All right. Well,
sometimes
so
you don't
those
know
are
until it
issues
gets
to
argued and you're
watch.
like, oh, okay.
What we'll try to do is if when they, I read about them and the elections, gun purchase, and so forth, we'll try to revisit
Yeah.
them and see what the court holds. Now,
Sweet.
Jason and I have started this new little, I don't know.
Uh-oh. Time to wrap it up
Yeah, time to
with a
wrap it
game.
up. So let
All
me get
right.
our special guest on the line, Leanne Reed.
Oh, snap.
So
Wait, is she
my
going to do
turn.
like super young
I
phrases?
have, no.
Hello.
All right,
Okay.
you ready?
There she is.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Jason,
I hear
can you
her.
hear her?
I can. Yeah. I don't know
All
if
right,
the stream
Leanne,
can,
so
but I can.
speak up. And so what we'll do is, Jason, we'll let Leanne respond first to what she thinks the word or the phrase may be, and then you go second.
Oh, so
right?
it's me versus her. You're on.
Oh, well.
Let's go, baby.
Fair enough. All right, so here's I think I'm going to start with the easiest one. 3 squares a
I'm
day.
nervous.
3
Okay.
squares a day. Leanne?
I've never heard of that.
Okay. Jason?
I think it's 3 square meals a day.
Yes, 3 nutritiously
Yeah.
3
Balanced.
nutritious meals a day.
According to the pyramid, food pyramid.
I honestly thought everyone would know that. All right.
Yeah.
Now here's one that I don't know. Let's see. What is the term clodhopper?
Clodhopper?
Yep.
Can't say I know that one either.
Do you have a guess what a clodhopper is? Jason, a clodhopper.
Man, I mean, I'm sad to say I call my kids this sometimes, but I think I think it's like when you're being dumb or something, right?
It is a work boot.
Yeah, so same thing, right?
No, not the same thing. It is a shoe. It is a work boot.
Yeah.
Go put on your clodhoppers. We've got to go dig a hole.
Okay, all right. I still call my kids that sometimes.
okay,
I
here's
probably
another
use it
one.
wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, you call your kids clodhoppers. That's between you and Crystal. All right, next.
Oh man.
Beating the bushes.
Like beating around the bush?
Nope, beating the bushes.
These aren't kid terms. I've not heard of it ever.
Jason, beating the bushes.
I think it stirred up trouble.
Incorrect. It
Oh.
is looking for something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
beating the
Well,
bushes.
yeah. Like.
We're looking for something that we can't find.
Okay. Okay. I got you.
All right, here's another one. Hankering.
Oh.
These aren't even words at this point.
Hankering.
Drinking, I don't know.
No. Jason, hankering.
Yeah. If it's like a really strong craving for, I got a hankering for some
Right,
pizza.
I got a hankering for some meatloaf.
Yeah, man. Some of mama's
All
meatloaf.
right, Leanne said she did know that. You could ask.
She
for
just
it to
probably,
be used
it's
in
out
a
of
sentence.
practice. It's out of practice, I think.
Okay, hankering.
Hankering.
All right, this one.
Do I have to
let's
spell
have
it
a
too to
snort.
get credit for it?
Let's have a snort. Let's have a snort. S-N-O-R-T.
I'm not sure we can talk about that one on stream.
Nope.
Should we
Let's
call
have a snort.
should we call Martin Sheen about this one and ask him, or is this
That's not cocaine.
all right? Good. Yeah, I don't know. I would have said
Can we-
laugh too, like Leanne. Oh, I froze. Oh no. Shit.
Let's have a snort, Mr. Reed.
A drink?
Yes, a drink of whiskey.
Oh, a drink of whiskey. Ooh. I would have thought a
All
laugh,
right,
just like Leanne. I would have thought
I
that. Yeah.
believe that was an epic fail on both Leanne and Jason's part.
All right, you got us. You got us.
All right, well, we're gonna say goodbye to Leanne. Bye, Leanne.
Oh, you know what? Could she
Wait,
next
hold on.
time? Could she
You
next
what?
time grab the young people phrases and see if we know them?
You're gonna write them, or you want her to?
No, I was asking if she could. Like, is she down
so,
for that?
Leanne, next Friday, do you want to come up with 5 words or phrases to see if Jason and I know them?
Yeah.
All right, ready for Leanne for next Friday.
I'll come up with some just in case she's not available.
All
But
right, later.
but-
Bye, Leanne. All right. Well, that's
that would
it.
be fun. All right, cool.
I'm going to take a break, and then just so you'll know, TV audience, I am writing a book, Paul's
Yes.
Memoirs, and Jason's wife Crystal is my co-author, and
She is.
it should be interesting.
It will be.
It's going to be illustrated, and so stay tuned. It's a lot of fun, regardless, and I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I've heard some of the stories
Friday,
already.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I believe there's a 50% chance of rain
Okay.
on Sunday. A little
That means
cold
100%.
front, little cold front coming through,
Nice.
which is not bad. So, but looking at the temperatures next week, Monday 68, Tuesday
Nice.
rain, 61, Wednesday rain, 64, 69. 69, 70. So it's not going to be in the 60s to
Mild.
70s for the following week.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
okay because it will be 95 soon enough. All right, Jason. Final last
will.
words. I'm out.
All right. No, that's good. That's it. That's fine.
All right. We love you guys. Be safe, and we'll see you next week.
Rob.